Right, we're going to play a game on ICC. Let's pick 10 minutes. Oh, we get a game straight away. So this is our first rapid game on ICC. So we start with a 1500 rating there. But it is 10 minutes for this one, so play nice and slowly. The opponent must have played some games because they've already built their rating. Now, it's generally a good idea to meet a diagonal with a diagonal, but only as a broad principle. But I often play this setup, playing this Reti opening anyway. Or the Zuckertort, as it really should be called. But what do we want to do going forward as a plan? Okay, knight comes up, so it does give us a chance to play a move like knight forward, and if you take, we take the bishop. We can often trade everything off and just bring the pawn over, but it's also good just to stick to principles, charge the center, so that's what I'm going to do. So push a pawn forward, see what you're going to do. He goes there. So knight up is still a move here. You can go c4, we've got a3, we've got bishop up, we've got lots of moves. I think I'm going to play knight up. We just need to get our minor pieces into the game. But we're just hitting the knight there, threatening to bring a pawn across, but it would be fine for black. It's no actual damage as such, is it? So, what do we want to do now? I'm going to develop my bishop. I'll pre-move in case he takes the bishop. Okay, he does come across. I'm looking at take, bishop takes, and maybe a move like b4, but I don't think that does anything. So I'm just going to go slowly and steadily does it, I think. Although e3 I'm committing to trading, aren't I? Yeah, let's not do that. Let's bring the knight up. Let's develop our knight. We might trade the bishop in any event, but give ourselves some options. We might want to spend a move dropping the king back at some point as well. Actually, let's play knight forward and just challenge that knight on the side. It's not doing a lot, but we'll try and get rid of it. And now we just have to decide how to develop. Do we trade the bishops off if the knight moves? Then maybe, yeah, I was going to say e3 in order to develop the queen, but e3 is probably a good move in its own right. We can't push on. c3 could be fine, but I'll go e3 just to try and get a position where we're not going for complete symmetry. It does take, so I'm going to go with the pawn. Then I'll look for pawn up at some point. I've got to move my knight, of course, so we'll jump across threatening to come over, hit the queen and bishop, and that would be nice if we could get it. I don't think we will get it, but that would be nice. So indeed we don't. So I'll play c3 to solidify. So we both used, what, a couple of minutes. Do we want to be stupid here and sack a pawn? Take, take, queen takes. Well, I guess you would take the knight first. Take, takes, queen takes across. It might be two pawns, might be too much. Let's trade the bishop. Now the knight. Okay, now I'm going to develop the rook. f4 might be a move at some point, but then the king's defenses are blown wide open. So I'm going to develop my queen, try and put the queen on a more advanced square. Then maybe a move like h4 and hope we don't collapse this side, but I'm going to start advancing this side. Oh, that's a blunder, I think, because it does not allow us to take, because the rook would hang at the end. It might be a mistake. My opponent should spot it. So rook takes. If you take with a rook, we take here. So you can't take because we just simply take the other rook. I think my opponent's realised now, so it's just a pawn. A pawn's still a pawn, though, but it is just a pawn now that it's been spotted. But it gives me a chance to double my rooks up. Well, that doesn't give me a chance to double my rooks up. Actually, that's a good move. Now, maybe I've got rook back here, though. Rather than trading, I think I go here, because my queen covers, as long as you don't deflect my queen somehow. But I should be fine on f3, and now I can double up. And then maybe take with a queen if takes, to try and control the open file, or at least pretend to. But if I take, maybe you've simply got this, but then I can come back with a check. And if you guard here, we've got a check here. So I think the queen is fine. Just principals start to guard here. I think we throw a check in. And what can you do? If you block here, we take with a check. You can't go onto this file because of the rook. If you go back, we've got rook check. Takes, queen check. Maybe here, queen blocks, trade. It all feels alright. It doesn't feel bad, but maybe there's actually nothing concrete. But it feels like a good move in principle, though. Yeah, opponent rattled that up instantly. So check, takes here. Queen here, check, blocks. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to win a pawn. Like, check here, you have to block again. So we could force a repetition that way, but I don't want to do that. Trouble is, I don't see anything better. Let's throw the check in. Now, are we better in this position? We've got an extra pawn, and we've got an extra better pawn structure, so we should be. So I'm going to take. Now, how do I deal with this? Do I just bring my king up? I'm better on the other side, on the queen side, so I think that's where I want to go. Okay, but now can I just lock this down? Or do I actually come this way? Let's work this side first and try and create some sort of passed pawn if we can. It could go wrong, of course. If you miscalculate, of course it could. Actually, yeah, let's come here just to try and deal with any pushes here and maybe edge it this way. We might be able to create a pawn on this side. But my opponent will be trying the same idea as well at some point, I guess. But if we do this takes, there is then a 2-on-1 for black on that side, so heads it off. So here, if you take, I just take. It's got to be an okay move to push, but you can't take, otherwise we'll get an outside pawn. Oh, he has taken, so I assume we can just get an outside pawn and win now. This has to be winning. There must be a way to break through on the other side somehow eventually. And we can just deflect the king with our outside pawn. But I can just leave that there now. If you come here, we can always done that immediately. Wait, so this can't be right. Is this actually right? So up, check here, king over, you're fine. I've got to take. So here. Has he actually done me here? Wait, this is silly if he has. What the heck's happened here? I've got to come here, don't I? This is silly. I think I'm still better, but that was extremely precise what he's played there. Extremely precise. Down I have to go here. And then I can deflect him away with one move and take his pawn, but he's got the opposition. So how do I work this? I think I make slow moves if I can. And try and gain the opposition. But he can just go here. Oh, if he goes there, I go here, don't I? So here or here. I think I go here. We want to be the one with the final move. Now he has to move his king. And we want to try and come behind, but it might just be a draw. If we can get here, I guess we can try and push at some point, but I might not be able to win this. Let's just see. If we collect the pawn, then we're definitely winning. Yeah, it should be winning now. It should be winning now. I've played it pretty well. I think I've found the right line. So he's resigned. So that was my first rapid game on ICC. So we'll just pause so we can bring the game through into lead chess, and then we'll see what it was in engine language. Right, we've now got the game ready to import into lead chess. So we'll just request analysis and see how we actually played this. So we were white in this game, so no need to flip the board. If you want to, just press the menu button and flip the board there. But we were white, so we'll have it here. As we've actually played a pretty good game. We have played a pretty good game. What was it? Oh, wow. We've played 98% accuracy versus 92% CPL of 12 and 34. That is terrific at my level. Well, that's pretty good at anybody's level, isn't it? It still doesn't mean I've played like a GM level game or anything. It doesn't mean it's that good. You know, if I'm playing the stronger players, they'd know how to make the game more complex, and that would then completely skew the figures. But for our level, assuming my opponent is an amateur like I am, then that's a really, really good game. So we've actually played it very, very well. So we've only got one inaccuracy there, no blunders anywhere. Let's just flick through it quickly then and see what's said. But it's generally a good principle to meet a diagonal with a diagonal, but just as a broad principle, there may always be exceptions, of course. Then we're just trying to develop our pieces, challenge the centre. We could have taken the bishop, but we chose not to. We thought we'll let our opponent do that. And we're just going for logical development moves. Nothing fancy, nothing wild and sharp. We trade everything off here, so it's all relatively simple, straightforward chess. Then in this position, this is where our opponent has made the one and only blunder of the game, because you can't take back without hanging the rook. So we're able to take, it's just a case of how. Now I chose to take with a rook. We could have gone with the pawn, and then the same thing, you wouldn't been able to take. Our pawn would have been here instead of on d4. So I just chose to go with the rook, and then it's a case of unwinding our pieces. So we've played a relatively simple game, haven't we, and gone to just a pawn endgame fairly quickly. And then in this position, I suddenly got a bit concerned and thought, has my opponent found a way to trick me here, even though they're a pawn down? Because I thought it must be winning, having an outside pawn, but they're just the immediate push. But it is actually a mistake. You need to drop your king back. It's still +5 for us, but you need to drop your king back a square and sit tight. We can't break through. If we ever push this pawn, you're in the box to be able to collect it. So you should be able to stop that there, as long as you can step into the box, and then we're going to have to try and work this side. But it must still be possible to do, because we're +5, so I'm assuming it is. So we did actually play this correctly here. Deflected. And then we're trying to be the one who makes the last move on this side, so our opponent has to move their king first. So we've managed to do that here, and then maneuver to force the king away, and we're going to collect the pawn next move, and then two connected pawns, you won't be able to stop them. You could play on in case we blunder a stalemate, but you won't be able to stop them. So at my level, that was a really, really good game, and that was my very first game of Rapid on ICC.